80%. I got a bad feeling about this. This battery here is only 1 year old. And I don't know. It's always on the tender. Wah, wah, wah. Ooh, almost. Driving lights are off, the clock is at noon. This battery is shot. That battery was put in a year ago, almost to the day. It was a USA bottle supplied battery, and apparently it's shot in the ass already, and I don't know why. So I guess we'll try to figure that out. Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. We're going to work on the Indian today because it's got a bad battery. I just put this battery in a year ago. It kind of pisses me off, but you know, it's shot in the butt already now. There's all kinds of arguments about put it on the tender, not put it on the tender, let it sit for, if you don't ride the bike in a month, charge it for 48 hours. Blah blah blah. There's all kinds of different arguments out there. It's kind of like some of those arguments like, what's the best defense load for your 12 gauge, you know? Is it buckshot or is it birdshot, you know? There's all kinds of these sorts of dilemmas, you know. Is 9mm better than 45 for stopping power? Should you put your battery on the tender full time, or will it kill it, you know? I don't know. I don't know the answers to that. So if you do, feel free to comment, because I honestly don't know. I've tried it both ways. I've had pretty good success with battery tenders. Can't complain really. Yeah, I've lost a few batteries, I kind of thought prematurely, but this is the worst example of it I've seen yet. And I don't think I'll be buying any more of the USA batteries or bottle supplied batteries anymore. These are the batteries that come dry, and the acid comes in a, you know, a little array of plastic bottles, and you poke it on top and it dumps all the liquid down in. It's an absorbed glass mat battery, so you can leave it 2 or 3 hours for that stuff to soak into the glass mat, and then you go ahead and charge it, they say, with a 2-amp battery charger, which in my assumption, or at least looking around, it's kind of a hard thing to find. You find lots of 3-amp, but all my battery tenders, you know, my are all, seems like they're all around the 3-amp trickle charge deal. So this one's been on the tender pretty much full time. The bike gets about 5,000 miles per year. This is a 2015 Indian Chieftain. It's kind of getting to be truly a classic now, because they don't make them that look like this anymore. They make them with the different Harley sort of shaped saddlebags, the Harley front fender, and the Harley sort of fairings. So this is actually closer to what we would find as a Roadmaster, but it doesn't have the hard lowers or the trunk. You know, I'm a one-up solo rider, so I don't ride people on the back of my motorcycle. It's just not something I've ever done. So really didn't care to do it. And so I've got it set for a one-up. It's great bike. It's got 25,000 miles. This will be the third battery that will have been in this bike. The first battery made it pretty close to 5 years. And so this bike is going to be 7 years old this year. This July it'll be 7 years old. So it made it about, I guess maybe even closer to 6 years. And it was the factory battery. And then I put this one in last year before my trip down to Bike Week in Daytona Beach. I live in Washington State, so we load up in the toy hauler and we go down to Florida for a couple months and go to Bike Week. And so I put it in last year, and it's already shot. So as you saw, so I'm going to make this video because there's a lot of people that are afraid to take their battery out of their Indian motorcycle, their Thunderstroke motorcycle, because everybody always warns you about blowing up your engine control module, which is a thing because it's an expensive electronic part and you don't want to blow it up. So if you want to follow along, I'll show you how it's done so that you don't harm your engine control module and so that everything goes well on the swap. So follow along with me, and let's change the battery in the 2015 Chieftain motorcycle. First thing you want to do is you might wonder why I have these passenger foot pads on here. A, because I bought them and they're really expensive, and I do have a double seat, so it takes me like 5 minutes to change seats if I really felt like I wanted to ride somebody on the back, but I never do. They got a lot of bling to them, so I leave them on there just in case I do change seats. Take your side covers off, open your saddlebags first, and flip your passenger pegs down, and get your side covers off. Set them aside where you're not going to step on them or bang them up. Okay, next thing you got to do is take off the seat. My seat requires a metric 5 to get this out of here. Your bike probably has either whatever is holding down the back of your passenger seat, your pillion, whatever's holding that down. When I had that, I still have 2 other seats for this bike, the factory original and the Corbin double that I bought. I had that fancy, the big Indian nut that went on there, but this is a Corbin trunk, and it doesn't, you know, the fasteners inside. So, all right, I don't think they make that trunk anymore either. It's just pretty cool. I get a lot of compliments on it, but I've never seen another one. I guess because they were sort of expensive, and maybe they didn't sell, or maybe Corbin would custom make one. I don't know. I assume they made the mold, so they still have it. I don't know. Probably, maybe it's not on their website though. On each side, you'll find a fastener. I changed mine out to stainless steel ones, and that's a metric 6 Allen head. Same on this side over here. Metric 6 Allen. Mine is just under the fringe here. I'll get those all the way out. Alright, after that, it's just a matter of lift from the back, slip it straight back and lift it straight up. So you can see if I didn't want to put my double seat on, I just same thing in reverse and I'm done. All right. Engine control module. I have some extra wires because I have LEDs on this bike. There's underneath the floorboards and tank and stuff. Lights up real nice at night, changes colors, it does whatever I want. This here is the engine control module. That's what you definitely don't want to short out against any positive source, because if you short this case to a positive 12 volt, you will blow this up. And if you do that, it's I know it's over $1,000 if you do that. So don't do that. Don't be that guy. So I'll show you what you do to prevent that. There's 3 plugs on here. The way you get these plugs apart is you just go ahead and you push down like this and then pull it off, okay? So what you want to do, and this one here's got a little tinier thing on it, just unplug this. There you go, just like that. Now it's de-energized. Nothing can hurt this now. So it's just a simple matter of doing these. And if you look at these, for one thing, they're all in their place. You know, you can't mix them up because they won't plug back in. And the other thing is they're a different shape. So these will not plug together very easily. You'd have to really be stupid and, you know, work at it to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to kind of worm my way through here, and you'll notice there's a single Allen right here in the middle. You need to take out that Allen screw. So that's a 5 Allen. It's the same one I used back here. I thought it was one size down, but I guess not. I haven't done this in a year, so this is my device that changes the LEDs. It's the controller for the red, green, blue, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how many colors that thing does. And flash patterns, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Set that aside, don't lose it. Then what you do is kind of lift, make a little room here, kind of pick stuff up out of the way a little bit. Lift up the back of this engine control module, and then if you push it forward, it'll disengage from these 2 forks up here. This little thing here, I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it's hooked there, so you know you can kind of unfasten it. It's kind of glued down, so I'm just gonna hook this off to the side because I'm just gonna hang it right there very gently. Looks like some sort of resistor or something. Not really sure what that is. So, but if you look down in now, if you look down in now, here's your battery, positive, negative. This is a simple matter of unhook the ground side first, get all of those grounds off, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 ground wires, and then over on the red side they'll go into this thing here, so that'll keep them all together for you. So there's 4 ground wires, just bear that in mind, take a look at them, see what they look like, because you're going to want to get them all back on, otherwise you have a problem. Okay, so let's get this off next. And you can do it with a Phillips head screwdriver or what have you. I think it's maybe an 8mm. So hold tight. I'm going to undo this negative battery terminal. And probably see my LEDs flash a little bit. They do that. And just take that battery bolt right on out of there. Set that aside. Okay, so here's the 4 ground wires. There's 2 of them. Here's the other 2. So I'm just going to get those up out of the way. Just bend them back up out of the way. I think I'm going to support this engine control module a little better rather than just having it dangle by these wires right here. So give me a second to do that. Okay, all I did is I took a piece of wire and I I hooked this up so it's not stressing on that. Okay, the next thing you want to do, let's tuck these grounds away for a minute. The next thing you want to do is you want to get your positive side disconnected. And these here, I'm going to zip tie those up out of the way. So I got a couple of zip ties. I'm just going to run it behind the master cable here and pull all these up out of the way and zip tie them off. So the problem is that I'm all out of long zip ties, so I'm stuck with this shorter ones. I got to get some long ones. I used them all up. I think I used them all up on the Ford F-250 battery cable job that we did. It's here on the channel if you want to see that or not. See that? This is, I'm going to get this all up. There. These been out of the way. And let's hang this back up. Okay. Okay. I like that. Get these guys kind of out of the way as well. Alright, we're getting down, digging down to it now. We're going to pull this back. These guys here just want to get in the way in the worst way. They want to, it's cold out here. It's freaking 31 degrees or something, so can't wait to get out of Washington State, get down to Arizona, down in the south, get out of here. It's too cold up here right now. It's too wet and too cold. Sunny day today, but it's wet and cold. Okay, so that one I'm just going to hold that out of the way like so, okay? Just try to keep it all together in one bundle with the bolt on it and just kind of hold it up out of the way. I'm going to reach down in here, pull straight up. Of course, those two little ground cables have gotten out in the way again. And just tip it back to clear all this and then pull it out. So this is the battery that failed in 1 year. Buyer beware. Maybe it's just a bad one. I don't know. Sadly, I just put one in the victory. So this is the battery. It's 1 year and it's crap. So that's that. Alright, so there's our battery tray. Everything's nice and clean in there. Looks good. Let's go ahead and show you the new battery. This is your Wicked Start, is the brand, Renegade Wicked Start. And this is a 500 amp hour battery. The one that comes in the bike I think is 300. So, yeah, it's a big motor. You know, it's got a lot of compression. So I figured, hey, more is better. So I went with this one. This is a 500 and this is available online. I hope it turns out to be a good battery because, whoops, it isn't, you know, it isn't a cheap battery. I think it's like $100 or something. And I'll tell you what it was. Here's the receipt. It was $130, $129.50. And something I noticed about this is it says on this one that you don't want to leave it plugged into a maintainer. So I guess I'll have to school myself on how a maintainer should properly be used. It'd be nice if you just plug it in and leave it, but it says here that for the long problem is caused by long-term usage, aging circuitry and bare circuitry and improper connection to the vehicle. And then under there's a red notice in here. And the red notice says as a general rule, if you ride the bike 2 to 3 times a month, you shouldn't need to do anything else. If you know that you're not going to be using the vehicle for more than 30 days, charge the battery for 48 hours and remove the charge. It says, we often hear people say they properly maintain their battery by keeping it on a tender. Well, that they probably killed the battery sooner than they would have if because of that. So Renegade batteries are not constructed to take a 24-hour charge 7 days a week. So it says, remember, power in must equal power out. If you're always putting power in, something's going to give. So they say don't leave it on a maintainer, and that's not something I've ever had that much trouble with. You know, I have lost batteries on the maintainer and just chalked it up to age, but in a year, those USI batteries, the one that came on this bike, it lasted pretty damn close to 6 years. So this is what we're putting in, and this is part number RG20L-WS for your Indian Chieftain Thunderstroke 111 motorcycle. I assume it fits the Challenger and any of that, but just be careful when you're buying the battery that they make them positive on either side. When you're facing the front of the battery with the terminals looking at you, you want your positive on the right, negative on the left. That's the configuration you want to buy for the Chieftain, and probably most of the others. But if you have a Challenger, which I do not, I have ridden them, they're a nice motorcycle, go ahead and look at your battery and make sure you get the positive on the right side. Otherwise, it may not work because you'll have to, your cables won't be as long, long enough or whatever. So it comes also with a little bag of nuts and bolts and screws, and we're probably not going to use any of these. We're going to probably, we'll see what we have to do. We might, I don't know. I noticed this has steel terminals instead of lead, and they are threaded right there, so that's going to give us plenty of length. We're not going to suffer with too short of battery screws. But I always hang on to these because they're more or less universal, the thread on them. So I usually hang on to these, and so I have an assortment of different lengths so I can get the right length. Anyway, it says that these batteries are fully charged from the manufacturer. I've had this probably 2 weeks now, so it should still be good to go. So I'm not going to do anything to it except put it into the bike. I'm going to leave this little red protector on the positive one until I get it in there, just cause. Okay, so we're just going to reverse it from the way we took it out. We're going to tip it in like this, get all this stuff out of the way so we don't pinch nothing, pull all the cables and stuff back, and then kind of find where it falls into its place. Just like that. Just like that there. See that? Now go back and find all your grounds, okay? Because there's 2 there, and here's the other 2. So there's 4 of those, we know. This we didn't take apart, so this we can just hook right back up, and we should be good to go. But I'm kind of wondering about the bolt length. If the bolt length is too much, because I have a lot of wires on here because I've got a GPS and battery maintainer cable, and also a LED power lead. So there's like 3 or 4 things on there that. So I'm going to try that length. It might be okay. If it's too long, I'll have to put a shorter one in. So let's just hook it up. Hook your positive up first, your ground last. Yeah, I don't know. I think it might be too long. It's going to hit the battery and it is. It's hitting the battery. So I'm gonna go find a shorter one just because of the way they got this designed here with these steel lugs. I don't know, it looks like nickel plated steel would be my guess. I'm gonna go find it. I got some other ones over here, so hold tight a second. Let me go get those. Hallelujah. That worked a lot better. Should have done that to begin with. Okay, hold on a second. Move it. That's the thing with doing YouTube videos. And I don't hardly even get anybody watching my YouTube videos. It doesn't seem like it. I guess I have a pretty narrow niche. Or I'm not that likable. I don't know. But the thing with it is camera's always in the way, you know. But, you know, hey, I figure if it helps somebody out, I'm happy to do it, you know. I know when I bought this motorcycle, I got warned by everybody about farting around with a battery on it. Because you'll blow your engine module, you know. So, figured I'd show you how to do it, because I had the battery out of this thing a million times. For this and that, one reason or another. Push this back a little bit. Okay, there's the positives hooked back up. Now remember we had 4 grounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think it's best to put in the process of doing all that, we totally lost our zip tie that's holding all this crap up out of the way. Tighten it down just a little bit more, maybe. Okay. So in the process, what we want to do is put this main ground wire. That's going to go on the bottom. That's going to go right on the battery, because that's pretty important. You want that grounded well. And then you can. This is my battery charger tender jump deal right here. I'll probably put these 3 on first, and then stick this one somewhere in between. Then we'll go with this one, and go with this one, and then lastly, I'm just going to stick this forked one. It's a little ground for, I think, for my horn, and we'll just hook this right up. Because I have that Buffalo brand horn on here. Or it might be my LED ground. I don't know. It's a ground for something. Something that was put on the bike. I think maybe the LED's the more I look at it. Because the horn has I probably think it's this ground right here. Then there's the bike ground. Then there's my battery tender ground. So go ahead and tighten that one down next. Make sure you got your cables where you want them. Good and tight. Okay. Everything looks good there. Okay. So now we can put our ECM back on its perch. Clip the wire tie that we put in. That out of here. Get this wire out of here. Okay, then just bring this back around. There's a little tab on each end of this that has to go back into those forks. So I put the one end first, like that, and then I just drop the other one back in. And you got to get this stuff out of the way again. Okay. Make sure all your stuff's clear and out of the way. And that you're in on both sides, back on this end, and then that's where it goes, right there. So that these wires are all underneath, right down in here. This cable up out of here. Okay. Make sure that you're in on this end here. Then look down through till you spot your hole and start that Allen in there. And then before you go all in there, just make sure everything's clear where it should be, out of the way of everything, where nothing's going to be in a bind. And that's going to go fine. So now we'll just tighten that back up. This Allen that holds the rear side of this bracket for the ECM down. And the ECM sits on a plastic. This plate here is plastic. And that's because you got power underneath there, and they don't want you getting that against power. Okay, so just make sure your wires are where you like them, where you want them, where they were when you started. I'm going to tuck this. I put a little extra loom on this one right here because it tucks in kind of tight there. So I'm going to just make sure it's tucked down in, it's tucked down in there, and that all of this is back where it's going to be just fine underneath the seat. This, we can take our plugs, and it's self-explanatory. Remember now, so this one here, the big one, goes in the center, the big one. Doesn't matter what order you do this in. Okay. And there you go. New battery is installed. So now it's just a matter of putting the saddle back on. There, just like that. Okay, super important point. Do not mess up the threads for these that hold the seat down. If they're not going in really nice and easy, if there's any binding whatsoever, just work your seat around and get these in. Do not strip the aluminum holes with this steel screw, okay? And it takes a little finagling to get them in. Okay, so this one is started, and you can see it's super easy, okay? Now I'm going to go around and do the same thing on the other side. Look through, make sure it's well centered. Put your Allen on there. And make sure that it just goes in easy. Yeah, like that, see? And then get it in there. Yep, it's not started. I faked me out, thought it was. Okay, see, it wants to gall up, so just go easy. Adjust your seat around a little bit. And then take a look back through the hole. Okay, so it looks like it needs to be pushed down just a little. Gentle, gentle, gentle. There. Okay, so nice and gentle, and then give it a very slight snug. Same thing, and then come back to this one and snug it up. Just ever so carefully. And that's all it takes. Do not go any harder than that. Then go ahead and put in your last one here. Got a little dust down there. Okay. Okay. There, just like that. Yeah, there it is. Okay. There we go. Get all my danglies out of it. Okay, there's that.